Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. First of all, the Honorable Committee of the 60th Asian Education Symposium 2021 with the anthem Construction of Education in the Digital Era of Post-COVID-19. I would like to say thank you for coming in my presentation. It's great to see you all and honor to meet you here. Okay, let me introduce myself and my partners in this research. My name is Wahyudi Buska, and my partners in this research are Dr. Kasful Anwar Usman, Dr. Diana Roselin, Dr. Yogya Prihartini. We are from Postgraduate School of the Sultan Toha Saifuddin State Islamic University of Jambi, Indonesia. I would like to present my research under the title Application for Evaluation of Arabic Lesson in the Learning System. Introduction. Evaluation has an important role as a direction of improvement in system development in an activity in the form of learning and education, as well as training. Evaluation is the learning and education process is related to the activities controlling the extent to which the results have been achieved in accordance with the program that have been engineered in educational curriculum. To build learning education towards a better and more advanced direction, systemic improvement efforts are needed, and it is necessary to carry out careful planning. Then implemented from the planning and implementation, and evaluation is held. This evaluation is to measure, observe, and provide an assessment with categories good or bad, successful or not. Background of the problem. Evaluation can be used in input both for teachers and for students. For teachers, and this is used to see how far the improvements have been carried out. Well, for students, it is used to find out how far the accessible abilities have been achieved. Can students fully accept Arabic lesson or vice versa? So there must be planning in evaluation well, but the planning carried out at the Man Model Jambi is not as professional as what is in the theories because there is no good planning step. Therefore, in implementation of the learning evaluation process, some educators effort not consciously and are less objective in evaluating learning so that students do not get better assessment, especially in Arabic lesson. Evaluation can be done well if it is based on the results of careful measurements. However, there are many teachers who do not know how to carry out evaluation properly. The teacher assesses it only with numbers, but not pay attention to the main aspects that must be considered in the evaluation process. Evaluation does not have to be cognitive, but also effective and psychomotoric. Background of the problem. Currently at the Man Model Jambi, more than half of the students come from junior high school. This indicates that more than half of the Man Jambi students do not have a foundation in Arabic. If it is related to the objective of teaching Arabic at Man Model Jambi, it can be said that students have not fully accepted the objective of learning Arabic, namely to master vocabulary, words from and desired sentence patterns, so that students have not been able to understand Arabic well. In line with what the student of the Man Model Jambi said, that as long as the students at the Man Model Jambi, they did not understand, let alone master the Arabic subjects matter so to them. According to them, Arabic is very difficult, especially for those who has an educational background from junior high school, who have never known Arabic and are learning new Arabic at Man Model Jambi, but also not so different for those who graduated from MTS, Madrasah Sanawiyah, even though at MTS they have learned Arabic, but they also experience difficulties in learning Arabic both regarding vocabulary and translating. Background of the problem: phenomenon faced by students in the learning Arabic at Manmadal Jambi is that Arabic is not fun in terms of education. Our Arabic language teacher on explained Arabic lesson, focusing on the LKS Al-Hikmah and Lotus translating, which we many do not have no Arabic vocabulary because we are from junior high school. Moreover, we don't understand our conversation either, and the way the teacher is good, but our Arabic language teacher should give us other lessons for the exam, meaning not only taken from the case, because it can be boring and difficult to memorize. And if we learn not only from the case alone, that we feel the knowledge of Arabic lesson really increases. Based on the results of the interview state, actually Arabic is really difficult and boring, especially in the LKS. Translating is difficult, let alone filling out the exercise. And learning Arabic is not fun. The teacher explains too quickly, so it is difficult to understand, especially since many are from junior high school who do not know Arabic. I thought the type of this research is field research, namely research that use the location of Manuel Jambi, where the presentation use descriptive research methods, which describes in general the problem studied by collecting data related to the research objective. The type of data to be collected consists of the secondary data and primary data. Primary data are that data that came directly from the results of interviews with the principal, teacher, and student of Manuel Jambi. The secondary data is collecting data that come from source and documentation objects from the Manuel Jambi office. And this secondary data also comes from several books, which are the data source to get theories from experts as reference. As for collecting the data needed in the study, the researchers use several data collection methods, including the observation, interview, and documentation method. And at the stage of the data analysis model used in this research is the flow data analysis model, meaning that the researcher must analyze as long as the research is carried out, as long as the author is still conducting research, as long as the researcher continues to analyze data. Result. First, Arabic learning system at Model Jambi. Second, application for evaluation of Arabic lessons at the Model Jambi. Third, obstacles faced by the teachers against the application of evaluation of Arabic lessons. Fourth, efforts made by students and teachers in the overcoming obstacles in application of evaluation of Arabic lesson. Arabic learning system at Manuel Jambi. First, this Arabic lesson is very important for formal schools that are characterized by religion, Islam, because apart from being an educational process that is directed and encouraging, guiding, developing, and fostering Arabic language skill. In this case, Arabic fashion, Arabic language skill, which also supports students in understanding the source of Islamic teachings, such as Al-Quran and Hadith, as well as other books that use Arabic in their presentation. In order for the teaching and learning process to be directed in accordance with the objective and learning Arabic, in accordance with the applicable curriculum, there must be an outline of the teaching program, GBPP, in accordance with national standards. Second, the teacher's learning process has applied previous process, methods, and models in learning, but student learning outcomes are still below the value. Teaching methods have an important role in facilitating teaching and learning activities, meaning that a good teaching and learning process should use a various type of teaching methods that varies. In this case, the task of the teacher is to choose various appropriate methods to create an effective teaching and learning process that correlates to the learning objective. Application for evaluation of the sessions, the MAN model Jambi. Summative evaluation. Summative evaluation, that is the determine the progress of student learning outcomes reported in general by the madrasah by collecting questions from the teacher in the field of study in the form of objective and description. This evaluation is carried out at end of each semester, either the first semester of the second semester in the program on planned manner, and also simultaneously implemented by following the schedule. In addition, teachers in the field of Arabic studies generally use the oral test and part evaluation, especially to determine the success of the teaching process, which can also be used as feedback for the teacher concerned. B, formative evaluation is evaluation is formative evaluation is formative assessment that serves to improve the teaching and learning process. This evaluation is carried out by the teacher in the course of Arabic studies every day of the meeting between teachers and students in the form of written and oral tests. The evaluation carried out by the manual Jambi teacher in the file of Arabic language studies certainly has different levels of difficulty according to the student's ability to master the subject matter through solved by the teacher with different methods. This following will present students' opinions on the level of difficulty of evaluation question made by the teachers of Arabic studies in formative and normative evaluation. Teachers' effort on students before evaluation, and teachers' works and percentage provide motivation and direction, giving warning, just let it go. Based on the table above, it can be seen that 19 students or 67.9% state the teacher gave a lot of motivation and direction, while those who state that the teacher only gave warnings were only 9 people or 32.1% of the sample, and none of the students state the teacher let them go before the evaluation. However, the motivation, direction, and warning from the teacher does not mean that students do not face problem in the evaluation, especially in the field of Arabic studies. Obstacle faced by the teacher against the application of evaluation of Arabic lessons. First, there are students who are mentally weak. Students who have a weak mental condition are indeed difficult to clearly know their abilities, especially when the test of exam is carried out orally by the teacher in the field of Arabic studies. And students who have a weak mental condition are definitely nervous every time the answer question of the teacher, or as to memorize the material that have been delivered. That's it. The student also shy and insecure, so that they are very difficult to answer every evaluation question. Second, the number of students. The Arabic language teacher at Manuel Jambi is fully responsible for the teaching and learning process in all classes in the school, from grades 1 to grade 3, with a total of 12 local students and 284 students. So it locally consists of approximately 62 students. The situation of the very large number of the students will certainly make it every difficult to apply the evaluation concepts, especially in the fields of language education to its students. In terms of teacher education, there are no teachers with Arabic education backgrounds at all. So student reading is difficult for it. Encouraging exam question, especially and ensure that the required description of student teachers find it's very difficult to read student rating, and his has impacted on the difficulty of the students correcting student ensure so that the evaluation principle is not fully implemented. because many students from public school do not know Arabic lesson. For facility and infrastructures, whereas the infrastructure for the Arabic learning process for the Manmada JMB student is in conflict, apart from the absence of the Arabic dictionary and the absence of language laboratory, even through Arabic lesson as the emphasis practice, it's aimed to improve the language skill of the student, especially in terms of listening and speaking. With lack of time, the lack of time provided in providing Arabic subject matter is also an obstacle at Manmada JMB. The time allotted for Arabic lesson is 2 hours or 80 minutes in the morning and 60 minutes in the afternoon, and even less than that. Even though usually 2 hours to listen are equal to 90 minutes, but because of the condition of the building that does not allow all of them to study in the morning, some of them come in the afternoon to save time. The main obstacle of this app about usually refer that their grades in the Arabic subject is evidenced by the 4 exercise of assessment carried out by the teacher for the number of students in the class 10, which the 128 people, only 8 people have reserved an average score of the 80 to 85, which is a highest score obtained by class 10 students, and 29 people get the average score 70 to 79. 45 students get an average score of 60 to 69, and 46 students get the score 55 to 59, which is the lower scores of the student. Very few students get an average score of 80 to 85, which is the highest score. When analyzing the scores that students get, can we understand that their level of understanding is still very minimal versus a muhadasa, qira'ah, sentence structure, especially in translation. What made by students and teachers in obtaining obstacles in the application of evaluation of Arabic lessons. The first, teacher of professionalism. Teachers play a role in the teaching and learning activities according to the field of study the stage. In other words, teacher must have an ability mastery of the field of study being taught. If a teacher of sight of this exercise, this will be learning process that's not good and even fatal. Second, quality of input prospective students. The students of Manmada Jambi are very high quality input prospective result of a selection carried out strictly by the madrasa as expressed by the head of Man Model Jambi as follow. Prospective student of Man Model Jambi must pass the selection first before we can accept them at the school. The selection we hold in the ability of the student to write and read the Quran, ethics and moral, intelligence, ability, and so on. The selection is intended that students at this madrasa are qualified. Then conclusion. First, the implementation of the evaluation by the teacher of Arabic studies at Manmada Jambi is not carried out in accordance with the evaluation system. Before preparing teaching and evaluation plan, a teacher must first identify a teaching system that he will do, so that the teacher obtains relevant information about the components of the teaching system, so that a teacher is able to use this material for designing a better teacher system. Second, the application of the evaluation of Arabic lesson in the learning system at Manmada Jambi state that many students are not happy to learn Arabic and many do not understand Arabic lesson. It is necessary to apply evaluation in the learning system in order to provide more complex teaching in sentence provision. By students to take Arabic lesson outside of the school hours before the implementation of the teaching. The teacher must train to take preparation in teaching Arabic both orally and writing. The use of varied teaching methods so that it is not boring for students who takes part in learning activities in the class. Third, the result of implementing the evaluation of Arabic lesson in the learning system at Manuel Jambi is that there are students who are weak in interpretation, so that many of them are nervous and do not answer correctly and will interfere if the evaluation is in oral form. For this reason, educators try to the group bring personal guidance and problems related to the psychology for students who have problems by first coordinating between teachers in the meeting or deliberation, as well as holding additional teachers in the field of Arabic studies at Manuel Jambi. Or to deal with the problems faced by students in implementation of the evaluation at the Manuel Jambi, among others, collecting data about the cause or difficulties for the teachers in carrying out evaluation by connecting direct evaluation and then conducting special tests or giving independent assignment to the problematic students. B. Conduct group study guidance, personal guidance, problems related to the psychology for students who have problem by first coordinating between teachers in a meeting or deliberation. Thank you very much for your attention. See you in next presentation. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.